part of the reason why I think there's some merit to Dogecoin, even though it was obviously created as a joke, is that it actually does have a much higher transaction volume capability than Bitcoin, and the cost of doing a transaction, the Dogecoin fee is very low. Like right now, if you want to do a Bitcoin transaction, the price of doing that transaction is very high, so you could not use it effectively for most things, and nor could it even scale to a high volume. And when Bitcoin was started, I guess around 2008 or something like that, the internet connections were much worse than they are today, like order of magnitude. They're way worse, in 2008. So like having a small block size or whatever is, and a long synchronization time made sense in 2008. But to 2021 or fast forward 10 years, it's like comically low. And I think there's some value to having a linear increase in the amount of currency that is generated. So because some amount of the currency, if a currency is too deflationary, or should say, if a currency is expected to increase in value over time, there's reluctance to spend it, because you're like, I'll just hold it and not spend it because its scarcity is increasing with time. So if I spend it now, then I will regret spending it. So I will just hodl it. Mm-hmm. But if there's some dilution of the currency occurring over time, that's more of an incentive to use it as a currency. So Dogecoin, somewhat randomly, has a fixed number of sort of coins or hash strings that are generated every year. So there's some inflation, but it's not a percentage base. It's a fixed number. So the percentage of inflation will necessarily decline over time. So I'm not saying that it's like the ideal system for a currency, but I think it actually is just fundamentally better than anything else I've seen, just by accident.
Bitcoin has been jolted again by robust U.S. jobs numbers. Combined with a veiled forecast from Tesla's own Elon Musk, this news has left traders and analysts burning the midnight oil, trying to unravel potential impacts on Bitcoin's trajectory. While Rise Labs and BitBank experts watch anxiously, the financial cosmos holds its breath, waiting to see if Bitcoin will continue its descent or make a remarkable rebound. Welcome back to Investocracy Crypto.
I think the cryptocurrency thing is an interesting approach to reducing the error in the database that is called money. I think I have a pretty deep understanding of what money actually is on a practical day-to-day basis because of PayPal. We really got in deep there. And right now, the money system, actually, for practical purposes, is really a bunch of heterogeneous mainframes running old COBOL.
Okay, you mean literally? That's
literally
that's literally what's happening
in batch mode. Okay,
in batch mode.
Yeah, I pity the poor bastards who have to maintain that code. Okay, that's a pain. That's pain.
Not even Fortran. It's COBOL. Yep,
it's COBOL. And the banks are still buying mainframes in 2021 and running ancient COBOL code. The Federal Reserve is like probably even older than what the banks have, and they have an old COBOL mainframe. And so now, so the government effectively has editing privileges on the money database, and they use those editing privileges to make more money whenever they want. And this increases the error in the database that is money. So I think money should really be viewed through the lens of information theory. And so it's kind of like an internet connection. Like, what's the bandwidth total bit rate, what is the latency, jitter, packet drop, errors in the network, communication. Just think of money like that, basically. I think that's probably the right way to think of it. And then say what system, from an information theory standpoint, allows an economy to function the best. And crypto is an attempt to reduce the error in money that is contributed by governments diluting the money supply as basically a pernicious form of taxation.
So both policy in terms of with inflation and actual like technological cobalt, like cryptocurrency takes us into the 21st century in terms of the actual systems that allow you to do the transaction, to store wealth, all those kinds of things.
Like I said, just think of money as information. People often will think of money as having power in and of itself. It does not. Money is information, and it does not have power in and of itself. Again, applying the physics tools of thinking about things in the limit is helpful. If you are stranded on a tropical island and you have $1 trillion, it's useless because there's no resource allocation. Money is a database for resource allocation, but there's no resources to allocate except yourself. So money is useless. If you're stranded on a desert island with no food, all the Bitcoin in the world will not stop you from starving.
Yeah.
So, like just think of money as a database for resource allocation across time and space, and then what system it is in what form should that database or data system what would be most effective? Now there is a fundamental issue with say Bitcoin in its current form, in that the transaction volume is very limited, and the latency the latency for a properly confirmed transaction is too long, much longer than you'd like. So it's actually not great from a transaction volume standpoint or a latency standpoint. So it is perhaps useful as to solve an aspect of the money database problem, which is this sort of store of wealth or an accounting of relative obligations, I suppose. But it is not useful as a currency, as a day-to-day currency.
Bitcoin's recent volatility conjures images of an unruly yet enticing roller coaster, a ride where excitement and trepidation vie for dominance. At the core of this thrilling ride is the latest U.S. employment report, which sent shockwaves by adding 256,000 jobs in December, far exceeding the 155,000 anticipated. The unemployment rate dipping to 4.1% only reinforces the Federal Reserve's resolve to keep interest rates steady, a decision that ruffled more than a few feathers in the stock market.
I've been thinking about money for a long time. And really, it's best to think of money as an information system, primarily an information system for labor allocation. And for practical purposes, it exists in a series of heterogeneous databases, like very different databases in bank mainframes around the world. It moves quite slowly in reality. It may seem to move fast sometimes, and it does with PayPal, which is real time. But the vast majority of the systems out there are batch processing. So the actual reconciliation may take 1 to 5 business days, sometimes longer. And you have the ACH system, which is ancient and still in operation, which is allows transfers effectively like a check would be an ACH transfer, but it's not secure. And you've got the credit card systems, which are also not secure. It would be like handing your username and password to a stranger in a restaurant if you buy a meal. So there's definitely an opportunity for something that is better from an information theory standpoint. So and there you can think of it like data on a network. I think is the way to view it. What has the most throughput? What has the least error? What drops the fewest packets? Fraud, for example, being a source of error. And government interference in currencies being a source of error. But it's fundamentally an information system. So I think it makes sense to support something that improves the quality of information with which we conduct the economy. And Bitcoin is a candidate for that. It does, I think, some things well, and it's obviously it's evolving, and there are additional things like Lightning being done on top of Bitcoin. But Bitcoin per se is mostly solving for scarcity, or rather solving for essentially having no throat to choke, decentralized. So there's no one who can be coerced in any way to empty their Bitcoin account. Well, I guess they could technically, but on an individual basis, but the system as a whole cannot.
Bitcoin, oscillating dramatically from $103,000 to a jarring drop to $91,500, has caught everyone investing in crypto in its dizzying whirlwind. Yuya Hasegawa of Bitbank warns of a potential slip to below $92,000, estimating an even steeper drop to between $80,000 and $85,000 if current support crumbles. Amidst this financial opera, Elon Musk adds yet another movement, suggesting a potential pitfall for Bitcoin. His warning has sparked urgency amongst traders eager to reassess their positions, preemptively maneuvering before larger losses erect insurmountable barriers. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
Where do you stand on Elon's effect on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general these days?
I believe that Bitcoin is a massive breakthrough for the human race that will cure half the problems in the world and generate hundreds of trillions of dollars of economic value to the civilization. And I believe that it's in an early stage where many people don't understand it and they're afraid of it, and there's FUD and there's uncertainty, there's doubt, and there's fear. And there's a very noisy crypto world, and there's 15,000 other cryptos that are seeking relevance. And I think most of the FUD is actually fueled by the other crypto entrepreneurs. So the environmental FUD and the other types of uncertainty that surround Bitcoin, generally, they're not coming from legitimate environmentalists. They don't come from legitimate critics. They actually are guerrilla marketing campaigns that are being financed and fueled by other crypto entrepreneurs because they have an interest in doing so. So if I look at the constructive path forward, first, I think it'd be very constructive for corporations to embrace Bitcoin and build applications on top of it. You don't need to fix it. There's nothing wrong with it, right? Mm-hmm. Like when you put it on a layer 2 and a layer 3, it moves 1 billion times a second at the speed of light. So every beautiful, cool DeFi application, every crypto application, everything you could imagine you might want to do, you can do with a legitimate company and a legitimate website or mobile application sitting on top of Bitcoin or Lightning, if you want to. So I think that to the extent that people do that, that's going to be better for the world. If you consider what holds people back, I think it's just misperceptions about what Bitcoin is. So I'm a big fan of just educating people.
One thing is clear. Bitcoin, reflective of a phoenix reborn time, and again, marches on bolstered by staunch supporters who champion its cause. Today, Bitcoin stands tall at approximately $92,000 amid skeptics' murmurs and believers' shouts. Are you ready to place your confidence in Bitcoin? Will you invest, steering alongside towards anticipated ascension? Share your thoughts. And finally, if you would like to know more about cryptocurrencies or specifically Bitcoin, Go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.